Professor Alastair G. W. Cameron, in association with Professor Dirk TerHaar, recognized the solar system planetary genesis through closed-system interaction, in which there being a protosun exclusively for primordial system transformance known as Monistic Concept. Whereas some intruding star intervention with Sun for planetary evolution distinguished as open system, called as Dualistic Concept. Monistic Concept of Planetary Genesis put forward by Professor Kant, Professor Laplace, Professor Roche as well as Professor Lockyer. Professor Comte De Buffon in 1749 propagated that planets evolve through remnants generated by comet impact over the Sun. The Meteorite hypothesis of Professor Joseph Norman Lockyer in 1890 suggested meteor swarms responsible for protoplanetary accretion through nebulae generation. Professor Kant introduced Gaseous Hypothesis of Planetary Genesis in his Universal Natural History and Theory of Heavens during 1755. Primeval matter converting into gaseous nebula under slow gravitational rotation transformed into spinning disk, thereby generating Sun and other planets of the solar system. Professor Immanuel Kant initiated Professor Emanuel Swedenborg's nebular hypothesis, which proposed that planets evolve through rotating nebular centrifugal fleeing away protoplanetary disk effects owing to primordial matter gravitational collision contributing to overall angular velocity increase to form accreted planetesimals. The nebular hypothesis of Professor Pierre-Simon Marquis de Laplace suggested a similar genesis from vast gaseous and dusty clouds, however, a hotter nebular disk producing planets before the Sun through protoplanetary disk inclusion with planetesimals detaching from the central nebula by centrifugal force. Professor Laplace in 1796's Exposition of the World System, stated that the cooling of the primordial hot rotating nebular disk reduced the volumetric mass that thereby through enhanced rotation, gradually imbalanced the centrifugal and centripetal forces that tend to eject protoplanetary material for planet genesis. However, these theories couldn't provide explanation for angular momentum conservation, stressing the necessity of dualistic approaches. Planetesimal theory of Professor Thomas Crowder Chamberlain and Professor Forrest Ray Moulton put forward dualistic planetesimal nebular effect for planet evolvement during 1905. A star once wandering near the Sun ejected solar prominences that gradually condensed to form protoplanetary materials. Tidal hypothesis of Professor James Jean's 1919 accomplishment, modified by Professor Harold Jeffreys in 1929, suggested that an intruding star passing nearby Sun generated tidal bulges that generated filament of gaseous matter which rotated around the Sun. Owing to an intervening star recession, gradually becoming the futuristic planets of our solar system. Binary star theory of Professor Russell proposed a binary star intervention toward Sun in which one being rotating around the Sun while the other passing through the companion star in vicinity, drew out material for protoplanetary genesis. Cepheid theory of Professor A C Bannerjee in 1942 suggested that contraction and expansion of star pulsation generating Cepheid variable becoming unstable due to oscillation contributed protoplanetary materials for solar system. Interstellar dust hypothesis of Professor Otto Schmidt during 1943 propagated that dust of interstellar space attracted toward Sun mutually collided for a flat saucer consolidation that eventually through inelastic impacted momentum diminution converged for planetesimals producing inner planets by heavier particles and outer planets through lighter constituents. Nova hypothesis of Professor Fred Hoyle and Professor Littleton in 1939 suggested brightness-induced supernova contraction disintegration ejection evolved a moving circular disk revolving around the companion primitive Sun provided protoplanetary genesis constituents. Throughout history, scientists have proposed various theories and concepts to explain the formation of the solar system. These hypotheses provided a captivating perspective on the formation of the solar system.